As Tahun lies on the ground, he is asked if he expressed joy. He is confused, wondering who the person questioning him is. The man's reflection can be seen in the glasses that Ju is wearing. The other boy says, "I asked you a question," and furiously demands an answer. He then suddenly grabs Ju by his hair, gaining control of his body. Meanwhile, as Gayul watches them, she comments that their position looks like they are about to kiss each other. While chewing peanuts, she wonders what those two boys are doing. She reveals that she was the one who actually laughed, and then she says that after one punch, the TV got snipped by the self-taught fighting. She was realistically coming up with a plan for events and then wonders how she should get revenge. She decides to follow Hoban's company on their trip, which is why she came all the way from Seoul to snip them. In her head, she thinks that if she catches them later in the streets, she will snip them to make them trash themselves. While she was doing that, the other dude was putting on a show, and she was laughing to herself, but she didn't know he could hear her. Then she continues by saying that she laughed for him to hear her. She is fine since she gets to see a fight and wonders why he is apologizing when she was the one who laughed. As the other guy notices his earbuds, he says, "You were the one laughing while you had this on, even though the music was loud." He asks why he is apologizing, as he is very confused. Tahun replies by saying, "Because you told me he was laughing at him." The boy calls him an idiot and says, "I need you to pick a fight for being laughed at. It's the world's strongest fighters fight. Rolling thunder. And those guys are total fools versus the idiots who apologized even though they didn't even laugh." As the boy starts to leave Tahun alone, he says that the earbuds are confiscated. The scene then shifts to a beach where everyone is having fun and enjoying the night. In the middle of the crowd, there are three boys. One boy with a colorful shirt says that the boy beside him looks indecent. The boy replies by saying that no girls are willing to drink with the three of them and asks if there is anything wrong with drinking. Then he asks if they can even get laid tonight. He says that they have to get the ladies no matter what and asks them to follow his lead. As they advance, the boy spots three beautiful ladies on the beachside. One of the girls says, "I didn't know you guys would come here too," and expresses amazement at their presence. She says, "If you hadn't contacted me, I would have left without seeing you." The girl with the orange shirt says, "Didn't I do a good job of contacting you?" She says that she heard a lot about her from Hoban and asks if she is roomy. She reveals that she is telling the truth and says she was suspicious since he mentioned going on a trip out of the blue. It was all because of her, the girl that Hoban has a crush on named Choi Bomi. She says to her that she's the only one to hurt Hoban and wonders how a goddess like her could like him come back. She feels bad for her, who is excited to go on a trip with him. As the girl talks about pajamas, she says it's fine since she took Saragun and thinks Gaol might have an upset stomach. The boys compliment the girls, and the girls compliment each other about their looks. As the boys approach the girls, they ask how many of them there are. The girl in the orange shirt excitedly says that they have 7 in total. The girl beside her tries to calm her down and says they came with the company and asks why they asked the question. As the boys come closer to the girls, they expose them for lying, having seen them sitting alone for 30 minutes straight. One of the boys gets closer to the girls and whispers, "I can't believe your company left you like that." The girl ignores him and says that she is not interested. The boy replies, "Honestly, it will be boring if it's just you girls, so we seriously want to entertain you." She responds, "We are not interested, sorry." The girl in the orange shirt then asks, "What do you mean by entertaining us?" He says, "We know you guys came here to make memories. Don't be like that. Have a drink with us." The girls say they are underage, and the boy replies, "Only your bodies are 18 plus. The girl calls him a creep and throws a drink at him, swearing and shouting to get everyone's attention. She says that these boys are trying to have a drink with minors. The 3 boys are now in big trouble as they claim to be minors as well and leave. Some boys come up to the girls and ask what happened. They are the girls' friends from the company. One of the voices says, "Since today is your company's first cooperation, let's work hard." He adds that it is hard to get the right angle while holding the camera as they film. She mentions that due to many people being present, she must make sure not to capture any non-YouTubers. One of the boys starts giving an interview but stutters with every word. They all tell him not to stress. The 3 boys come up behind them and ask, "Did you just film us?" The boys say, "We accidentally filmed you and apologize, saying they did not do it on purpose." One of the boys responds, "Do you get to film anyone just because you are streaming?" "Would you unalive a person not on purpose?" he asked, "if they would not get mad if they were in their shoes." He says, "If you have any complaints, come here in front of me." The boys try to calm down and suggest reviewing the footage to see if they got caught in it. One of the boys says anyone can do YouTube stuff and calls the boy a coward. Hoban says he will be more cautious from now on. The girl in the orange dress gets furious, but Rumi grabs her to calm her down. Hoban comes forward and apologizes to the boys, saying, "I'm not a fighting kid who fights just to provoke myself. Solving a problem like this is how you act like a man." He says he will hold back and ask Bomi if she is all right. She confirms she is and tells him he doesn't have to watch over her. The boy apologizes because holding himself back seems so cool. As Tahoon approaches Bomi, he grabs her by the shoulders and demands to know what the boys are doing, ordering them to apologize immediately. He then asks Bomi if she is all right, explaining that the teacher said he couldn't get in contact with her, so he came here to look after her. Bomi is upset with the boys, but Tahoon is furious. He lifts his shirt, ready to fight anyone. He steps forward and says, "You three are the ones who don't hold back. That looks the coolest." The boy responds that he just wants to look cool, and in a dramatic move, he rips his shirt apart and orders everyone to apologize to him right now. As he slowly approaches the three boys, he again apologizes to the other boys whom they had threatened and hit as well. The boys with their massive egos laugh it off, thinking they can easily handle one guy. They recognize him as the YouTuber Yanu G, who has 1.8 million subscribers. All the girls think he is incredibly popular, even more popular than Tahoon, and they all call him a scary dude. The girls suggest letting it go as they can't do anything to him while the camera is rolling. The boy approaches Yan Ji and threatens to fight him after the camera is off. Once the boys are out of sight, the girls circle around Yanu Ji and express their gratitude for helping them, saying that figuring out how to deal with those guys was such a pain. Yanu Ji says it was nothing. One of the girls asks what kind of exercise he does to develop such an awesome physique. Meanwhile, in another scene, one of the boys is furious, saying he couldn't control his temper. He acknowledges that holding back looks better, and his companions try to calm him down by saying that Yanu Ji is simply cooler, taller, better looking, and more muscular than him. The scene shifts back to Yanu Ji, who is happy that no one got hurt. As the night passes, the scene shifts to the ocean during the day, where people are enjoying the water and having fun with their friends. The scene shows a boy and a girl having fun. The girl comments on how their boss knew what a trip to the beach would make her happy. Suddenly, her companion asks if she is enjoying hanging out with him, and she replies, "You know we are students, right?" The scene shifts to Bomi and Hoban. Bomi is scratching Hoban's head, and he looks confused. Everyone watching him then becomes jealous and starts saying bad things about him. One boy notices Gaul and asks her how long she has been sitting there. He thinks to himself that he didn't realize she was next to him because she is so short, and he wouldn't have said that if he had known. He suddenly thinks he has a chance to talk to her as soon as he approaches. She puts her face in the sand on the beach to ignore him. After thinking for a while, the boy does the same and asks if this is how she does it, thinking that if he does do this, she will surely notice him someday. The scene shifts to an unknown person who is happy and wonders what a stall like this is doing at the beach. Bomi and Hoban are sitting beside the stall. Bomi asks for 2 ramen, and Hoban calls it strange because it sells pre-cooked ramen. She says who cares, as long as it's good. Hoban also remarks that the accent of the person working at the stall seems very fake, and she shouts, "Don't come between me and my ramen." The mysterious person reveals her identity as Gayul Han. She inquires about the girl next to him, calling her pretty and questioning what she is doing with someone like him. She reflects that he always has a group of girls with him and remarks that it seems like the girl wears the pants in their relationship. As Hoban and Bomi enjoy the sunset on the beach, Bomi comments that the sea looks pretty nice in the summer. Hoban replies that it is more fun because he is with her and the sea also looks really nice. Bomi then asks what Yang Li is doing there, pointing towards him. Bomi explains that the teacher told them to work in groups of 2, and he just realized he is the third wheel. He asks Bomi what happened to the class and tells him not to discuss things he doesn't know. Hoban responds that Bomey should stop trying to cozy up to him, as he doesn't need Bomey to be happy. He then mentions that he is a member of the company and part of the group that is supposed to take him down. As the tide hits Yang Lee, he gets all wet and declares that he has decided to call him out no matter what. Everyone tells Hoban to calm down, and he asks where the wave came from. Yang Lee is angry, as his clothes are now wet. Aisi looks at him and says, "So, he's a YouTuber?" He responds, "Totally nothing." Bomey, capturing pictures of her, says, "It's not like I can look much fancier, but when I look this good, the picture should be fine." She then adds, "Okay, I think this was everything on my to-do list for today. It's wild how they sent me a free rash guard to promote. Now it's time to have some fun." An octopus vendor approaches, and a man with an octopus on his head says, "Maggie, I think you've noticed that the octopus has swapped places. I've returned bringing you this octopus from the ocean because you said you wanted sashimi." Maggie replies, "Thanks for the octopus, but I'm afraid I don't have anything to give you in return." The vendor responds, "Is that right? I've already received something in return." The scene shifts to Yang Lee, who's surrounded by the three dudes. They ask, "What are you doing all by yourself? It's not smart to walk around alone without even filming." Yang Lee replies, "I can't apologize like this. They are just friends. I'll call you again tomorrow." One of the dudes says, "So we're friends now? Looks like I have a new friend from Seoul," and starts punching Yang Lee. He says, "Answer me. The guys are the ones who should help him." Yang Lee thinks, "You don't feel pain when you get hit. There are many types of martial arts in the world. Would you believe me if I told you there's a martial art that pushes the body to its limit? If you don't practice this martial art, you won't feel pain when you get hit. The reason you don't feel anything is because of the training." As the fighting continues, it's almost as if the practitioners of this martial art are wearing body armor. One fighter who faced such a practitioner said, "It's like this man is made out of stone. I was the one who felt pain every time I hit him. It's impossible for an amateur fighter to beat him." They ask, "What kind of group is the XJ company anyway?" They wish good luck to Hoban and say, "Yang Lee might be your next opponent. The only way an amateur can win against a practitioner of this martial art is to not fight him directly." Yang Lee explains, "This martial art trains both the body and the mind. It pushes you beyond your limits. I wasn't sure if I could figure it out, but now I know it's called Kyokushin Karate." He then adds, "Me too. I figured out what you've been trained in. It's not karate, which is from Japan, but taekwondo, which is from Korea, like oil and water." As both are talking about taekwondo, the other two boys inquire about what is going on. One of the boys asks if he wants to get kicked by them as well, and then kicks him, telling him to get lost. He dodges the second kick with his wrist. One of the boys says, "We're in the wrong here. Let's call it off." However, the other two boys are furious, asking why he is holding them back. He responds, "We're in the wrong, so we must go." He then asks, "Is it just me, or does everyone agree?" They tell Hoban to go buy some medicine, thinking he is hurt, so Hoban runs toward the shop to get the medicine. Meanwhile, in the area where the fight happened, one of the boys says he thinks Yang Lee is going to get hurt, so they should buy him some medicine. He tells Yang Lee to come and fight him. Yang Lee responds, "Is it because I practice taekwondo that you find this childish?" He continues, "When I see guys like you, I just want to beat you. I live how I want to live, but you can't do that. I saw your YouTube study channel. You're stuck in a study room all day, not knowing what you want to do, living like a little boomer. You probably never imagined doing something for yourself because you've always been a good boy. What do you even know about me?" He repeats himself this time with curiosity. The scene shifts to the two girls. The girl in the yellow jacket says, "What do you think? They're working around and make some friends. You need to be careful of weirdos like them." She adds, "Cut me some slack. I'm supposed to know that when I've never been in this situation before. When they ask you to go drinking with them while they're underage, you know it's not normal. But the guy didn't seem too bad. I suppose that's why I always see you need to hang out with the right crowd." The two boys then ask if anyone has seen Tahoon. They mention he asked them to buy some medicine, but is now nowhere to be found. The scene then shifts to Gayol, who is sitting beside a statue of a bear. She says, "I followed Hoban all the way here to expose him, but he didn't do anything. I thought he would try to cause trouble or pick a fight with strangers, but he apologized and backed out. What kind of evil scheme do I need to come up with next? Should I hit him with a bat or something? I want to beat him 365 days straight. Gayul inquires about who these guys are, and one of the voices says, "What are you going to do? Try to hook up with him?" He replies, "Of course they do, YouTube. Are you sure? It won't be a problem." One of the boys says, "So, you're going to give up then?" He adds. "None of the girls around here are interested in us anymore because we're bad." And that's true. He then says, "This will be fun," and asks the other boy if there are no complaints in his inn, just to clarify everything. The boy responds, "Hey, you've got snot coming out of your nose." She replies, "No, it's just water coming from my nose." He says, "That's what snot is, you dummy. If you're cold, just say so. Let's go inside." The girls look at them very scared. The boy says if I could have a word, and the girls are surprised to know that they want them to go home. He says, "You might think my friends are just local playboys, but they're known for being real bad guys around here." He begs, "Please, I'm begging you, please get away," standing behind his friends. He says, "As I mentioned, they don't know that I'm telling you all this." The girl responds, "I can't believe they are really such bad guys. It's so creepy. Let's tell the boss." He adds, "We should either leave immediately or cut them out of our lives." The girls agree with him, and he expresses his gratitude for their understanding. Suddenly, an unknown girl in a pink outfit steps in front of them and asks the two girls if they are crazy for drinking something given to them by those guys. She warns them that the guy probably spiked their drinks. The boys protest, claiming they didn't put anything in the drinks, and ask what she's talking about. She furiously says, "That's how you're going to play it? I was there when you talked about it." As she tries to remove her mask, she remembers she can't do so. She says, "Did you really think nobody would overhear you? You said you wanted to spike their drinks and take their clothes off." One of the boys responds, "Honestly, I don't know what you're talking about. Come over here." He then threatens, "There will be a third girl. Just come with us. Don't you think it would be better than dragging us by force?" Gayul gets angry and charges at him, using her rolling thunder technique to knock out the boys. She thinks, "Why did I hide? I'm wearing a mask. Also, why am I even helping the girls in the first place? This trash reminds me of a traumatic incident. Good job, you two. You don't have to worry about anything from now on because we have everything on camera." The boys are caught on camera revealing how these three high schoolers exploited the peak season to carry out their crimes. They targeted drunk people at the beach and did terrible things to them. If they couldn't find a target, they ended up drugging someone. Not even the police could catch them because there was no evidence. Thanks to me, we were able to catch them because I was willing to do whatever it took, no matter how dangerous, for the sake of our viewers. The voice says she is a crook and is deceiving them. She admits it was very tough because I was alone. Gayul adds, "I would also like to thank Rumi for her brilliant performance. We would like to thank the user who sent us the tip. Our first collaboration was a big success. We were able to catch criminals." They say, "Don't worry, we have a plan." Gayul then says, "I had hoped to create content for the channel, but this is not fair. I want you three underage criminals to listen up. I've reported you to the police. Stay put until they get here." The boys surround him and ask, "What do you want us to do? You think we would just wait? What do I do now?" I don't know what kind of fighting style they use. He tells Hoban, "You're going to show us a new technique, right? You're going to pretend to be helpless and then surprise us with something." Hoban replies, "I haven't been able to prepare for a fight at all. I just came here with the camera on. I have absolutely no idea what to do." The voice adds, "If you're headed to the police station anyway, I'm going to take this chance to break every bone in your body." He starts with a kick to one of the boy's chests, causing him to drop to his knees. He asks the boy, "Are you okay? I think you should start going to the gym or something." He calls him weak, and his companion says, "You've got it wrong. He's not weak. He has just become stronger because he's been in a lot of fights." He is surprised to learn he has become stronger. The thug says, "Why does he sound so cocky? I really want to stay out of trouble, you know. This is my last chance, and I'll be a lifer if I don't. I'm scared." Hoban clenches his fists and asks, "I have one question for you. Do you have 501? The crowd looks at the guy over there and wonders what happened to him. He is lying against a wall with a big crack and is shown as an example of strength. He was used, and he finds it ridiculous. When the boy reflects on his past, he says, "I did it with that girl yesterday. I was living life on easy mode." He adds, "You mean the one who's always next to you in the internet cafe? I took her straight to a room cafe." He then says, "Yeah, she gave me her number as soon as I asked for it. Did you put it off while she was out cold?" The scene then shifts to a classroom where three boys are discussing the league championship. Suddenly, they are silenced by a boy who kicks them in the neck. He says, "I feel sorry for the guy who couldn't fight back even when he got hit." Those guys who were born to inferior parents and inherited their inferior genes, honestly, would they blame their parents more than anyone else? There's a term people use for these kinds of guys. He then asks, "What's it called?" The boy replies, "They're called pathetic trophies from pathetic parents," and kicks him again with a calf kick. "I thought he was a typical user," he says as the kick is dodged, hurting his leg. "Maybe he just looks like a loser. He actually looks like a typical loser, but he's a tough kid in school or something." He continues, "When that amateur fighter throws a punch, lesson 1 is how to fight. Their shoulders move a lot, so don't lose your cool. An amateur fighter usually pulls their arm back before throwing a punch. When I saw that, I moved my head to absorb the force of the attack before it could hit me." He tells them to shut up and delivers another kick, causing a weird reaction. "I don't even feel it. I'm not nervous," he says. All of Hoban's companions call him good and tell him to beat all the popular kids in school. As they fight, one of the kids suddenly kicks him in the chest, launching him towards the shop. His companion calls him very cool and asks, "Have you ever heard of Tahon Seong? Have you ever been punched by Wang Guk Hong?" He adds, "If I lose to bullies with no training like you, I'll feel like I've disappointed Samdok. I hope you haven't forgotten to like, subscribe, and smash that notification button. Also, thank you for your donation, Hoban." Suddenly, the boy punches Hoban, who lies on the ground helpless. He says, "But I have to hold up my end of the deal. It's over for you." The voice then questions, "What if we get caught? Are you an idiot? Not even the police can catch us because they have no evidence." Another voice responds, "Yeah, but what if we get caught by someone who knows how to fight?" He agrees, saying, "You're right. That would be a problem if someone can protect us." The other boy says, "You too? We're just going around doing scumbag stuff?" The first boy responds, "That's not true. We're just doing our own thing." He calls them idiots and says, "You've made my money from doing that. Are you thinking of quitting? I want in. I'll be the muscle guy, so let's make some money together." Suddenly, Hoban gets up and says, "I got up because I cannot lose. I realized from the way he punched me that he has some training in combat sports. My friends may be cash compared to me, but they're not bad at fighting. I guess that's the reason why they lost after all. It's not just any old sport. It's interesting." He then adds, "He said he's a trend boxer, an in-fighter, not an out-boxer like anyone else." As he goes towards the boy, thinking he can beat him, he concludes that Hoban's working indicates his opponent is some kind of boxer. That means I'll be able to beat him easily, but there is a problem. To beat a boxer, I have to use a bunch of moves, some of which might not work, and some of which will. I'm tired from fighting two people. I'll have to hit him with a flying knee strike later. I'm too scared to come at him now. I have no choice. I have to try, even if it means getting hurt, to finish with the flying knee strike. Time to use my secret weapon. I have to perform like my secret weapon is to tackle like I did with Wang Guk." Everyone, including the girls, is surprised. He uses a single leg tackle. How much do you know about tackles that wrestlers do? If you know where to grab and where to apply pressure, you can even take down a giant, he says. The opponent asks, "What's going on? Why did you get knocked over?" He responds, "This isn't what I had in mind. I have to do the flying knee strike." Why did the tackle not work? The tackle didn't work on Wang Guk because he's different. What kind of boxer knows how to stop a tackle? He only knows how to counter it because he's an incredible boxer. It didn't work on Wang Guk because he's different from other boxers. Other boxers don't know how to defend themselves against a tackle. There are guys that are this easy to beat. Why did I get stuck fighting with ones who are monstrously strong? I can't stand to watch. Why are you not finishing him off? If you have successfully tackled your opponent, you need to make sure that he stays down." With the pink lady putting a shocking end to the fight, he exclaims, "Damn it, why isn't he fainting? Wait, where the hell are my brass knuckles? We were about to record a record number of views." Hoban asks the girl, "Who exactly are you?" She replies, "That's a secret. I guess you could say I'm someone who wants you dead. But this won't be the last time you meet the pink lady." He thinks, someone who wants me dead. I should have known, and that's why she loves me to death. It makes sense that I would get a stalker friend since I'm pretty popular now. We had 4 viewers today. That tiny little boy barely even tickled me. Is this ping pong ball real this time? Because I can pick it up with my one hand. Meanwhile, at home, a boy says to his mom, "Did you take a look at my yearbook?" "I put it in the wardrobe, but I saw it on the floor." The mom replies, "Did I forget to tell you, your friend came over when you weren't home to look through it. He seems like a very nice young man and was very polite." The boy asks, "Why would you keep letting him come over to see my yearbook? Maybe he's possessed. Otherwise, how can you both look so alike? Don't you agree?" In the next scene, one of the thugs is seen wearing a karate outfit and says, "Get ready to throw a straight punch," as the other boys are training. They ask, Where am I here? How are we only at one?" "Get closer to the floor," he replies. The voiceover says, "I cannot do this. Tell me, why can't you do a split when I have given you tons of lessons?" The girl manages to do it and asks her trainer if she did it right. He responds, "That's it for today. It's your turn next." Another voice adds, "That's not how you run a YouTube channel." As he gives advice to the boy, "I have given you tons of lessons. How come you still don't get it?" The boy replies, "This won't do. I'm going to have to punish you now. I am only hitting you for your own good, right?" "What's with that look on your face? Don't you learn from me? My channel has 500,000 subscribers. You should consider yourself lucky to be learning from someone like me. How are you going to promote Taekwondo like this? I swear, everyone and their dog is trying to become a YouTuber these days. I think you need to give me some guidance." "Okay, now let's get on with it for real. I'm going to start streaming from my phone." "Dude, he already has no videos published yet. I barely had 50,000 after I fought Pac-Go. That has to be above these. You already have 100,000 subscribers. Should I just ditch my job? What are you thinking about, Snapper?" he replies. "Nothing. Maybe instead of partnering with Hoban to do viral hits, I should team up with Tahoon instead. You know, this won't last forever. You cannot let this get to your head. You've got to do things to create positive tension on YouTube. Your viewers want to see what you do." The scene then shifts to Yanu Ji, who says, "How did you know where I go? It's all on YouTube. Where you go to school, what time your classes end. I see you have your friends with you." Tahoon wasn't always like that. Yang Ji tells the other two boys to go home without him. But everything changed when he met you. "Is he a friend of yours?" he asked one of the boys. "You're YouTube fighting to see who has the best score. He must really be great." "Gee, please. Your friend then. We want to be in with you. We're in the top percentile in math and foreign languages," he responds. "That's fine. Let's fight." His age says, "I want to see you get mad. Tahoon changed because of you. Does that mean he sees you as a bad influence?" "That must create. You must have been a complete delinquent. Yeah, must be a good kid before him." At Himso, Duin is the toughest school or something, he says as he is pressed towards the door of the class. "What are the kids shocked about? Didn't I tell you that you have to dye your hair back to its original color?" He apologizes, saying, "I was born with brown hair, so he was a victim of bullying. The teacher allows him to keep his hair this color, but you're saying that it makes it sound like they're bullying you for no reason." Gangbook interferes and says, "I will not stand for it. If you are bullying someone," he says that Tahoon changed because of Duun. He is asked if he is okay and expresses his gratitude, saying, "I was just kidding." He thinks Tahoon did change. Why is this guy's hair brown? He is the strongest person in the school, and he's only 15. Meanwhile, at the school in Seoul, there are 3 boys standing in the schoolyard. One of them says, "Have you heard what people are saying about Chang Jiang? I heard he'll be 10 if you pay him. Apparently, he's from his own crew, and this could cause trouble. Never mind the hanging river. What do you think about that? This is a story where everybody's involved. Super childish." I was immediately drawn in by Duun's first sight. I thought he didn't give a damn about the rules and dyed his hair brown. "Duun, you're a delinquent or something." "Sorry, my color runs in my family," he says. "Are you saying it's your parents' fault?" He disagrees. "No, it's fine because of the split. Is it burning your hand?" He puts a cigarette in his already burning hand, always looking on the bright side. A voice says it's unbelievable and tells them to know tomorrow. But they don't listen. He gets furious. A kid's story about a sadist with no friends. "Who said you guys could smoke? The boy was out of control. How would you rate that? Kick the boy. says, "It's 10 out of 10. You really nailed that one. He was on a loose, in love with himself. You shouldn't read people like that. Think of it as a chance to become a better person." His name was Tahoon Seong. The boy put his hands in front of him. "What are you doing?" He shows the secret in his hand. He slaps him. "Were you smoking?" This is how these two boys met. He drags him by his hair. "I'm going to report you for smoking and breaking the rules." "My hair color runs in my family," he said. What does he want us to do?" "He came out here to smoke." "What did you just say?" "He'll beat anybody." "When are you guys going to stop getting your asses kicked?" "I'm definitely going to get in touch with Chan today." "Sign up if you want to get stronger." He hands him a poster of training. Meanwhile, an old man says, "You said you were passing out flyers at school because you wanted to promote our studio, but there's nobody here." "I expected as much. Do you think that'll get people to sign up? Nobody wants to learn Taekwondo these days." He's furious. "Those people promised me they'd come. I passed out 300 flyers at school today. One of the boys with brown hair arrives. Surprise, I knew it. Why are you the only one here, brown-haired nerd?" "You came here to make fun of me, didn't you?" The master tells him to control his language. He's a weird kid. "You gave me this flyer and told me you really wanted to come." The way he talks, it's like he could never say no to anyone. "Didn't you want me to come?" "I came because I thought you wanted me to." "You're like you can never say no to anyone," he repeats. "How do you know my name?" "We're in the same class." Like an idiot, the master says, "Grab your friend by the collar. You should be nice." I got a call from his parents. They've been thinking about making him learn a sport. They decided on Taekwondo after seeing our flyers. They're going to pick him up after class. "Is this guy mama's boy or something? Can't you sign up for Taekwondo classes yourself?" He says that if he wants to be a good kid, there must be something wrong with him. Meanwhile, in the building, the boy gets in the car and the master finds out that this guy is wealthy. His dad came to pick up an expensive car and the master thought he was lying. The dad really does have brown hair. It must be nice to be rich. He probably eats steak every day. So why does he get bullied? Don't people really go after each kid? Is it because of his personality, because the type who cannot say no to people? Well, who cares? It's good for a rich kid like him to sign up for classes. I'm going to hide at the arcade. The scene shifts to the three boys. Some members of my crew went after him. He won't be able to use his legs anymore. You said he's the strongest guy in middle school, right? He'll be too scared to even report to the police. Now it's time for you to pay up. He's the leader of the local gang. Skid is a motorcycle gang from the gang book area. He said, "So let me get this straight. You guys hit him with a baseball bat?" The reply is, "Yeah, so what?" He responds, "It won't work. We know it won't work because we've been tried hitting him with a bat before." He breakdances at school for fun. "You can't break my legs easily," he says. "These legs are going to represent your country in the future. You are traitors to the country." He grabs one of the motorcycle boys and says, "So I guess it was true. I heard there was a gang that goes around beating people up for money." "Was that you guys?" the boy asks. "Why are you asking me?" as he charges at them and hits one of the motorcycle boys in the head. He defeats everyone with no difficulty, calling them a bunch of losers. The gang leader says, "You should have told me he knows how to fight. Like my guys said, you know you have to pay us. Sorry, I'll give you whatever you want. Just please take care of him." "Take him down," he pleads. Did you hear that? Apparently he knows how to handle himself in a fight. I think it's a good job for the second commander of the gang. As the brown-haired boy reaches home, he is greeted by his father, who asks about his day at school. He replies that it was fine and calls him Dad. His father tells him to head to his room. The boy reflects that his dad is a self-made man with high expectations, and he feels pressured to succeed in order to make him happy. He finds it very tough to meet these expectations, but doesn't want to disappoint his dad or make things difficult for him. He doesn't want his father to worry either. While studying in his room, he tells himself that he needs to improve because he is a good son. Suddenly, his phone rings with a message from his master, instructing him to clean the studio immediately. Realizing it's almost time for his Taekwondo class, he decides to finish up and get ready to go. However, his dad says he still has 13 minutes. His dad has high expectations and believes that this is enough time to answer a few more questions. His father advises him to spend his time wisely because his future depends on it. He emphasizes that he doesn't want to respond to his dad, so he listens carefully. His dad reassures him that he will do well. The boy replies, "Yes, because I am a good son." He wonders if it's normal for his dad to be so controlling. His father insists that he should focus on his studies and not get into trouble at school. He criticizes the boy's dedication to his taekwondo classes, implying that he should prioritize academics. The boy's father tells him that he is like a puppet if he keeps letting his father dictate his life. He argues that his life is his own to live and advises him to stop being so subservient. The father warns him to avoid trouble, and the boy feels frustrated. He thinks that his dad will be disappointed if he ever gets into a fight. Later, the boy arrives at his taekwondo class and demonstrates a powerful 1080 kick on the punching bag. His master praises the kick as beautiful and emphasizes that few people in the country can perform it. However, the master has to leave for another engagement, which makes Taehoon, the boy, angry. The master remarks on Taehoon's running technique, telling him to fix it or risk being kicked. Taehoon reflects on how his father won't allow him to dye his hair and would be disappointed if he got into a fight. He wonders if he will ever be allowed to be more than just a son. 3 boys confront him, complaining, "I told you I didn't want to see you with brown hair." "Why aren't you doing what I told you? Are you trying to piss us off with that hair?" Taehoon replies that he can't dye his hair because his dad won't allow it. One of the boys asks, "What's wrong with brown hair?" The 3 boys are shocked to discover that his hair is also brown. Now he asks if they have a problem with his brown hair. They reply, "Of course not. It looks great on you. We're not going to ask you to dye it or anything." He quickly ushers Duan out the door, saying that he's skipping classes and taking Duan with him. "If my dad finds out, he's going to get angry. Let me tell you something about your stupid face. I've decided to do you a huge favor. I took you to the hair salon and got your ears pierced. You'll thank me later. Your ears won't be the only thing bleeding if you don't shut up," he adds. When his dad calls, he says, "If you pick up my dad's call, I'll beat you up." Duan asks, "What am I supposed to do about my piercings when I get home?" The boy replies, "Just tell him you accidentally got your ears pierced when you tripped." It kind of sounds like you didn't have any fun either. They then encounter 2 girls who suggest they hang out together. The girls try to hit on them, asking for their numbers. One girl calls him hot, and he responds, "You can say hi to my face in a second." They all decide to go to a karaoke place and have fun singing. As they enjoy themselves, he notices 300 missed calls from his dad. He thinks, "I should be going to school. I should cram for studying. I shouldn't disappoint my dad." While they are taking photos, he thinks he should be a good son like he was yesterday. Taehoon, feeling guilty, decides to help his friends have fun despite his own worries. He thinks the game machine's destructive kick is cool and is impressed by the girls' reactions. He realizes he only has his debit card on him and apologizes for not having cash. One of the girls offers to lend him coins, saying, "Stop apologizing. I can borrow some coins from the girls. Next time you come to the arcade, I'll lend you as many coins as you want." While playing the game, he asks, "Hey, I thought it was your first time playing this game. How are you so good at it? You're a genius." The girl replies, "It's because you keep spamming the same move. You better shut your mouth before I fight you in real life." At the end, Taehoon approaches the girl and asks, "Can I ask you something?" "You can ask me anything," he inquires. "How much are they paying you?" The girl realizes he's referring to the bikers surrounding them and reveals, "You figured it out. The leader of the gang is Munseong Kim. Do you want to settle things here or somewhere else?" Taehoon asks, "If I go with you, would you let him go?" He hasn't been in any fight or anything like that. She responds, "That's not our problem. It's your problem." Taehoon decides he should settle this quickly and ask one last time, "I'm really curious. How much are they paying you to do this?" The girl says, "Do you really want to know that badly?" Taehoon replies, "I was asking you, but I was also asking the guy standing way back there." The boy, Munseong Kim, introduces himself. "My name is Munseong Kim," as they stand face to face. As the sparring session was about to begin, the master said, "You can't be serious. How can you let them fight against each other without any protective gear? It's too dangerous," the master continued. Have you ever heard of kinetic energy? To generate power behind your punches, you need to utilize kinetic energy. If you're shorter and lighter than your opponent, you need to spin faster and with greater speed than them. The more time you spend spinning, the more powerful your kick becomes. That's why my son's opponent's weight class doesn't matter. He has an extraordinary talent for spinning kicks. Let's get this over with quickly. The master's son, known for his impressive spinning kicks and his ability to stay longer in the air than anyone else, prepares to fight. The master remarks that the legendary Taekwondo athlete Han Soo Seong, blood runs through his veins. He adds, "Why are you not saying anything?" Suddenly, a man watching from behind says, "I can imagine his skills showcasing against opponents in the UFC." As he charges towards the master's son with a punch, the master's son easily dodges it and calls him a prodigy. A true prodigy knows how to make his opponent feel despair, the observer continues. To be called a prodigy, you must make your opponent feel hopeless. This guy is probably fueled by the despair of his previous opponents, whether they were boxers, athletes, or wrestlers. But against this beast, his past victories won't have the same effect. This guy hasn't been trained in any martial arts, and beasts don't know how to feel despair. It's like fighting a wild animal. The observer finds it interesting that this fight is between a genius and untamed potential. This is the kind of fighter that gets the adrenaline pumping. It's impossible to gauge how much potential he has because no one has tried training him yet. As the master's son punches his opponent repeatedly, the observer compares him to Mun Seong Kim and says, "Hurry up and die." "Why are you fighting like it's a matter of life or death?" Du-un remarks. "They must be paying you a lot of money to make you fight this hard." The beast says, "You look like a good kid, but I have no choice. I'll be kicked out of my house if I don't do this." Du-un responds, "You don't seem like the type to be in a street fight." The beast explains, "I have no other options. I used to work on a construction site, and the 3 construction workers watched me while I worked through lunchtime. They wondered why I was working so hard and thought I wanted to move out and was making them look bad. My body was covered in scars and injuries. I did whatever it took to survive. I told you that you could beat anyone with your physique." As Du-un continues to punch him, frustrated with his constant talking, he thinks, "What should I do? I can beat him, even if it takes some time. If I keep hitting him while dodging his attacks, I will eventually take him down, as long as he's not a monster. But what if something happens to Du-un because I dragged this fight out too long?" As people approach, Du-un asks for their identity. Tae-hoon decides, "I need to end this fight quickly and help Du-un. I haven't perfected it yet, but I have no choice but to go for it." He charges with his 1080 kick, but the beast grabs him and pushes him into the wall. Tae-hoon thinks he's in trouble as the beast punches him in the face, badly injuring him. Tae-hoon says, "I have to go. I need to find Du-un and protect him." Suddenly the scene shows the beast defeated and badly injured lying on the floor. The onlookers say, "That's why you don't mess with a prodigy." The man who was watching from behind comments, "What should I do? I came to Korea to find a friend of mine, but it's all right. I wasn't expecting to take on a student." Beasts are more interesting than geniuses anyway. Train with me for a year and you'll beat that kid. As Tae-hoon thinks about Du-un, he hopes he's not too late. He arrives at the arcade calling out for Du-un. He observes, "I've never seen such a beautiful kick before." Du-un is defeating all the gang members, pulling off the 1080-degree kick with ease, something Tae-hoon wasn't able to perfect. Tae-hoon realizes Du-un is a true prodigy, able to make his opponents feel despair. To be called a prodigy, you must make your opponent lose all hope. Du-un asks Tae-hoon, "What happened to your face? Did you prepare something?" Tae-hoon reflects on that day, feeling despair for the first time in his life. He remembers thinking, "Let go of me. I acted like a little child." The scene shifts to Du-un's dad. He says, "I know what happened, and it was in self-defense, but that's not important here. The other kids were seriously injured. I am afraid I have to take disciplinary action, even if it's my son. This issue is bigger than any disciplinary action, which will be logged in the student's records. So I think it will be difficult for him to get into the science high school he was aiming for." His dad was furious. He thought, "I should have been a good son. I should not have gotten into a fight. I want to quit Taekwondo. This is all my fault. I knew that Tahoon was bad news. He distracted me from my studies. It's my fault for not doing as I was told. His dad calls him and says things are not going back to the way they were before. Keep in mind that I want you to read your textbook instead of spending time with people like Tahoon. Stop hanging out with that kid. Then Tahoon did not come to school today, he writes. He didn't come to school today. I had a vague idea why. I hurt your feelings with that kick. I should not have done that. I never should have done that kick. He apologizes for it. Later, while playing in an arcade, he says, I'm very angry. It's because I saw Du-un pull off a kick that was supposed to be my signature move, but I haven't been able to master it yet. I need to grow up and accept that it's all my fault to begin with. It's because I was pretending to be a loser despite being a gifted prodigy. He should have reached out to me first. How dare he not contact me just because I have been avoiding him? What kind of person do you think Du-un's dad is? I think he's a good kid. I feel sorry for him because he is deeply hurt. He doesn't even know what he wants. He just does as he's told and focuses on his studies. Poor kid. I don't think he will be able to live that way for long, so you should look out for him. I told you not to touch my hair, he said as he touched his hair. Maybe I should reach out to him first. After all, I am his instructor. He was supposed to do a training test today. Who is going to look after him? There is a call on his phone. It is Du-un calling him. When he picks up, he is surprised to find that it's not really Du-un. He asks the person how they have his phone. The person replies, Would you like to know what happened to him? Tahoon says, I am not going to because of him. He expected nothing out of the ordinary to happen. He was going to go save him and thought that would be the end of it. The gang members tell Du-un that Tahoon is coming to save him and taunt. Go ahead, try your friendship moves like the other day. Are you scared because the gang is here this time? Du-un responds, no. But the gang members hit him in the chest and say he's going to be disappointed. He's going to get hurt again. Du-un thinks, I don't want to do this. I am done with Taekwondo. I will never hurt anyone's feelings ever again. They continue hitting him repeatedly until he starts to lose his vision and eventually falls to the ground unconscious. The gang members say, we were after Tahoon, not you. Du-un wonders what happened and what he just got hit by. He notices that the gang member's hand is covered in blood. Du-un thinks maybe he will feel better after a nap. The gang members, scared, order everyone to run. Du-un closes his eyes and says, let me rest for a while. His eyes are fully closed and he loses consciousness. Suddenly, Tahoon comes running towards him. When he sees Du-un lying on the ground helpless, he is very scared. Tahoon's back is against the wall as he realizes the gravity of the situation. The scene shifts to a grave, and it is revealed that it is Du-un's. The gang members have killed the poor boy. Tahoon is devastated and says, he died before I even had a chance to apologize. Meanwhile, in a court, the order has been given that minors aged 10 and 14 will not be prosecuted. The gang members post on Instagram celebrating their imminent release from prison. Suddenly, a car crashes into their motorcycles. The gang members are shocked to see Tahoon, who has come for revenge. From inside the van, someone shouts, why are you surprised? Do I need to write a 10-page apology for each person? That means I have to write a total of 50 pages. After that, I will eliminate all of you. It is none other than Tahoon seeking revenge for his friend's death. He is extremely angry and devastated. One gang member asks, did you come by yourself to get revenge for what? What did we do? Are you going to avenge someone who didn't want to hurt your feelings? Suddenly, Tahoon flashes back to the past when he asks Du-un for 500 won to play arcade games. Tears swell up in his eyes as he says to them, do you have 500 won? As Tahoon reflects on how badly he treated Du-un in the past, despite Du-un's kindness towards him, he says, why did I treat him so badly? While punching and kicking every gang member he can see, he continues, I should have been better to him. I should not have been such an idiot. He asked the gang members, how are you going to make this right? This is a tragedy. I've already forgotten what's it like to regret my actions. This is nothing. Being a juvenile offender is a sweet deal compared to what I'm feeling. Venting my anger won't change anything. It's meaningless no matter what I do. No matter how hard I try, I won't be able to bring Duan back. Tahoon doesn't stop hitting the gang members with whatever he can get his hands on. One gang member pulls out a knife and says, "Do you want to die the same way we killed Duan?" Tahoon responds, "But you didn't kill Duan. You were just trying to be friends with him." He reminisces about the past when they were leaving the salon and complimenting each other. He says, "I shouldn't have been so angry. It's my fault that he died before he could do anything." He then asks, "What are you doing with that knife?" "It's all because I got angry." The fight had been going fine, but once the knife appeared, it felt like he was being defeated by low-life gangsters. He doesn't stop hitting everyone and smacking them with a baseball bat. In the end, he asks, "Do you have 5,000 won?" The gang members beg him to stop, and one of them admits, "We are responsible for everything. We had no idea things would turn out this way. We know what we did was terrible. We're sorry for what happened to your friend." Tahoon gives them a cold look and says, "I feel sad about it too, but no one will ever hear my apology." In the next moment, every gang member has passed away. Tahoon sits on a rock beside the ocean and cries out loudly, "I wanted to protect him, but I couldn't. I'm being selfish because I know he's not the same person I knew. He's not you, Du-un, but I see you in Yongji." The scene then shifts to the present, where Yongji and his mates are being targeted. Yongji says, "I want to see you get mad. What I'm doing makes no sense. Are you happy? I know you're not, but please understand, I need to do this. If I don't at last show some emotion, I won't be able to stop hating myself." As he approaches closer, he says, "Come on, show some expression." Yongji replies, "What's wrong with this guy?" He sees someone else when he looks at me. Tahoon tells him to fight back. There's no other way to explain his behavior based on how he's acting now, but he was acting like this the other day too. This guy needs help. He might come and bother me if I ignore him. I have to go to cram school, so I need to finish this fight quickly. He shouts, "You just want me to fight, right? That's why I'm just going to let him beat me? That's it, right? You have to make this fight one-sided? That's how you make the Hoban Company look bad?" One of the companions says, "You cannot fight him. You'll come out looking bad no matter what happens." But he still kicks him hard with his legs and says, "Aren't you mad? I don't have time to waste on someone like this. I have to get to school. I can't be late because we have an intensive class today. I wonder if anyone is watching me on YouTube. I hope they're not going to be angry at me for being late." Tahoon, while hitting him, says, "Are you thinking about how you need to go to cram school?" Yongji is surprised and asks how he knew that. Tahoon tells him to stop holding back and fight him properly. Yongji wonders if he read his mind or something, saying it's impossible, and asks what he is talking about. He decides to humor him a bit and then go to cram school. That will be the end of it. The man who is watching them comments that it looks like Yongji wants to get a rise out of him, but that's impossible. He's just a puppet whose whole life has been about studying thanks to his dad. Yongji says, "I'm not Duan. I'm Yongji. Stop calling me by someone else's name," as he clenches his fist. "I'm sick of him calling me Duan," he shouts. "You're a puppet." But Tahoon replies, "I'm not a puppet. Why do you keep saying that?" "It's nothing like that. I just want to study because I want to be successful in the future." As he gets mad, Tahoon says, "It looks like you know how to get angry after all. You got a rise out of me. I shouldn't have let myself get angry at some bully. Maybe I'm tired today. That's why I'm more unusual. I didn't get enough sleep last night. I might have a full day today. How many hours will I be able to sleep tonight? I have everything planned for today. I need to stick to my schedule. On Wednesday, I get 3 hours of sleep. I don't have time for this." Suddenly, his glasses fall to the ground and he gets up saying with tears in his eyes, "I am happy and content with my life." Everyone is shocked, but Tahoon says, "You're not happy." Yongji suddenly realizes he is crying. Tahoon grabs his shirt and pulls him close, asking, "What do you want to do?" Yongji replies, "I want to be a doctor." Tahoon responds, "I wasn't asking you. I'm asking what you want to do. Your dad wants you to be a doctor. I'm asking you what you want to do." Yongji says, "I already told you. I want to be a doctor." Tahoon repeats himself and then says, "I had a guy like you who didn't even have a dream. I don't remember." Calmly, "What is it that you want to do?" He reminisces about his past and says, "I wanted to do karate rather than study." Tahoon says that's Taekwondo's most iconic move, the back kick. He continues, "Then go for it. Show me your karate skills. I thought karate was your passion. Are you really going to let it beat you?" Tahoon demonstrates the crescent kick. Yongji says, "I want to be happy too. I want to live my life the way I want." He asks Tahoon if he can save him. Then he says, "So, the 2-day lesson starts right here." But suddenly his phone rings and the viewers start changing their minds. People in the chat aren't changing their tune. The viewers are back on our side. It is surprising to see that the viewers are rooting for him again, but Tahoon is losing. His Taekwondo useless against karate. Karate is Korea's national sport. It's a martial art that has evolved over time to become more sport-oriented, while karate remains different. You go all in to take down your opponent, and no matter what, it is a martial art designed for real combat. It's fundamental. When facing someone who uses Kyokushin karate, fighters are at a disadvantage because Kyokushin practitioners train as if they're in a real fight. They're accustomed to fighting without protective gear, so one must be light on their feet. As Yongji throws a punch, Tahoon dodges it. To defeat a Kyokushin fighter, one must utilize their techniques effectively, but their footwork is less refined than Taekwondo's and also less sophisticated. Despite being hit with strong force, it's hard to gain the upper hand in a street fight. The reason Kyokushin karate is considered one of the strongest martial arts in the world is because its fighters are trained to endure significant pain. Tahoon says, "Okay, fine, your body can withstand the pain, but you can't train your face to do the same," as he punches Yongji in the face, causing blood to pour from his nose. He continues, "This type of karate has a weakness. It's kind of ironic, don't you think? They don't wear protective gear, but those who practice it claim it's the strongest martial art in the world because they train for matches. However, it's against the rules to target the face. They aren't used to taking hits there." The other boys recording the fight cheer and say that Taekwondo will come out on top. Another voice comments that Yongji isn't really getting screen time today and it looks like Taekwondo has won. Tahoon asks Yongji if he is giving up and says, "Is that really all you've got?" Yongji replies, "I need to get back up because I can't take it anymore. I'm exhausted. I attacked him relentlessly, but it doesn't look like I even came close to knocking him out. So I'm just going to give up. I did my best." The other boys decide to stop the live stream as the viewers are back on their side, and Tahoon won the fight. However, the girl says we're not done yet, and they ask her what she means, making fun of her runny nose. She continues, "He hasn't won yet. He hasn't beaten him. He couldn't break the Kyokushin spirit." Tahoon responds, "So you want to keep going? The spirit was developed by a man who wanted to be the strongest. If you follow the path of karate, you must ask yourself whether you did your best. Did you give absolutely everything you had? Because that is the spirit of karate. Did you show your opponent everything you're capable of?" Yongji replies that he still hasn't shown everything he is capable of. He explains that this karate band is because hitting the face is a simple technique with too many casualties. It is a martial art created by a man who wanted to be the strongest. If you can't use your right hand, use your left hand. If you can't use your left hand, use your left leg. And if you can't use your left leg, use your right leg. If you can't use your legs, then use your head. He keeps hitting him with everything he has, with every body part he is talking about. If that does not work either, then take down your opponent no matter what it takes, even if you resort to cursing them. That's what Kyokushin karate is. The picture shows the founder of Kyokushin karate, Young Yi Choi. After any entrance fight, he says that he is using his face and is giving up on Taekwondo after all this time. Tahoon's master asks him if he is okay, and he says just wait, and I will win next time, as he is defeated by Kyokushin karate, which was used by Yongji, and Tahoon says that I'll show you that I can conquer this. There are two main styles of Taekwondo. WT-style Taekwondo, which only uses legs using fists to hit the face, is prohibited, and the other style, with real-life fights in mind and using the fist, is allowed. As he is beating Yongji, he says, "I did not want to show my tricks," and tells him to take a nap. He continues, I am trapped in a dark and creepy prison. I was waiting for someone to break down the door because I could not do it myself. To be honest, that's not it. I told you that's not how you massage the legs. I guess I was waiting for something like this to happen. You're never going to wake up someone who is unconscious that way. Suddenly, Yongji wakes up and asks, "Why am I here?" They reply, "We got you here after you passed out. Master was about to bury you in the mountain, but we brought you here and saved you. Now that you're back, can you just get out and stop taking up our space in the studio?" Yongji asks, "What am I supposed to do now?" They respond, "Do I really have to spoon feed you everything? I told you to do what you want." Why is it so serious all of a sudden? Yongji looks like he made up his mind about something, but I decided not to ask. While leaving the room, one of the boys says, "At least things worked out fine in the end." Tahoon adds, "I am a little disappointed. I thought today might be the day I finally get to see the 1080 kick that only a few people in Korea can do." He also mentions that guy looked really similar to Hoban, but when Hoban pushes him to elaborate, he simply says that the guy does not look like Duan at all. Suddenly, the viewers get angry because he did not explain anything. They say, "Your dream came true and your channel is trending online. This is not how I wanted us to go viral. I was not surprised that people were unsubscribing. Where do you think you're going? This is all your fault. I'm going to fight with all those people." He responds, "I take everything back. Don't do anything. Just sit back down." Yongji apologizes for making them worry, saying he was the one who resolved the situation because he went ahead and even had his legs massaged. He offers his support and appropriate legal action, so the tide of anger towards him dies down. Yongji wants to thank everyone for their support during the time on YouTube and is officially retired from it. The scene then shifts to his father, who is angry and sad. He asks, "Are you saying that you want to quit studying?" Yongji replies, "I just want to be a free man and live my life the way I want." Meanwhile, in a building, 3 gang members are sitting at a dinner table with a lot of food. They're discussing something with 3 other gang members from a Yakuza group. The waiter comes and says, "I am very honored to welcome such esteemed guests tonight." He introduces himself as the CEO of XJ Company and will be their intermediary for the project. They're discussing some political matters with Yanu's dad arrives. He says, "I came here because I have some business to take care of." The waiter responds, "I would have prepared a seat at the table for you if you had let me know in advance, but you said you did not want to come into direct contact with the guests because it was too dangerous." Yanu's dad then kicks and slaps the waiter. One of the gang members says to the translator, "I don't think you need to translate the sound effects." The gang members get angry and one member says, "I don't need an interpreter to figure out what just happened. Are we done here?" His companion adds, "This is why you cannot trust Koreans. It sure doesn't look like it." The waiter gets angry and says, "Do you want to fight me?" His head is smashed into the table, but he fights back and eliminates all of the gang members. As Yanu's dad is leaving through an alleyway, he is confronted by a biker who punches him in the nose. The biker says to his boss, "I took care of him. It's not like I'm a newbie at this. I used to be a juvenile offender after all." He is Chan Jiang. The waiter then says, "You should have thought twice before you messed with me." He apologizes. "How rude of me to take a call in front of a guest," and adds, "We both have a score to settle with Hoban. I thought we could have some fun. What do you think, Pak Go?" He was the YouTuber who used to have 700,000 subscribers. As Yanu's dad is in the hospital, everyone is talking about how he got hit with a baseball bat. And it was also on the news. 2 girls say, "I feel really bad for his son," and Yanu's classmates approach him asking if he is okay. Yanu asks, "How do you know my dad is here?" One of the girls responds, "Bomi told us. We wanted to know how your dad was doing." Yanu expresses his gratitude and says, "I can't believe there's someone out there who would attack someone with a baseball bat." He then wonders about someone and thinks, "No, it couldn't be him." Yanu is unsure about his internships and talks to a girl who is getting paid very little. She asks, "Why am I getting so little? I was told 10 million won for everything. So am I only getting 1 million won when we worked as a team?" The boy responds, "Be grateful. I'm even giving you 1 million won for doing anything. I have no excuses for this poor pay, but you don't have to worry about me getting caught. I should have killed him like you wanted me to." Meanwhile, in a room, a girl playing with her Nintendo Switch says, "I quit my job at the factory just like that." "Mom, you don't have to work anymore. Her son's warning is enough." She adds, "No, that's not why I quit. I just found a new job, and if all goes well, I will be getting 3 million won per month guaranteed." Back at the restaurant, the waiter says, "Let me get this straight. After Hoban did a number on you, you dropped out of school and have been struggling ever since. Is that right?" He is communicating with Pakugo. Pakugo smashes his head on the table and says, "I will do anything. Just let me get back at him. Give me a chance to fight him again." The waiter replies, "I will never let you down." And Pakugo says, "Okay then, let's do it. Let's get our revenge." In the school, the girls are exchanging compliments on their clothes. After a long time, Hoban's company is finished and everyone recognizes Yanu. Hoban says, "It really feels like I am the CEO of a company now," and adds, "I feel like I am on top of the world." Suddenly his phone rings and he wonders who could be calling him. When he sees who it is, he is surprised. The girls and boys ask, "What is it?" And he replies, "I got a call from Seong-jun." Everyone says, "Stop being afraid of him and just talk normally." But he still stutters while talking to him. Everyone is surrounding Hoban as he talks about signing a new streamer. He wants to see what he can do since he has an eye for these things. He says, "You can catch this live streamer right now. He will be on Korn TV." The others ask, "Isn't that a platform with a bad reputation? What if he's setting you up?" Hoban responds, "I'm just going to be watching the live stream." One of the men asks, "What do you think?" Hoban replies, "I think you will see a familiar face on there. It's Pakugo. I haven't seen him at school, so I was wondering what he's been up to. Apparently, Pakugo is on Korn TV. The live stream is extreme, and a girl says this means he's now a member of XJ Company. As she starts to watch his stream, she sees a woman with him, and it is none other than Hoban's mom. Pakugo says, "I don't want to give you the wrong idea. I didn't take your mom." As she waves to everyone, Pakugo adds, "Be nice. She's here to earn money for her son's college fund." Hoban's mom says, "I can do anything for my son." "Your mom really made me tear up," Pakugo responds. "Come on, don't you want to earn money to put your son through college?" She replies, "Of course I do." And he asks, "Are you sure you're okay with this?" She assures him, saying, "Don't worry, I'm pretty safe from getting fired, and it's fine. A lot of people do this." She adds, "I can just wear a hat." Hoban is furious and very angry. His companions ask, "What kind of act are you putting on right now?" Hoban responds, "You should know that moms are off limits." His mom is thinking that her hobbies are definitely going to ask her what happened to her hair. She tells him that the hairstyle was shaped by accident and hopes it wasn't bad. "From my first stream, I'm going to get 3 million won in a month. On top of that, she's going to give me some of the donations we got today, 3 million won. So I made quite a lot of money considering my hair. What if people think I'm joking later if we don't have any money?" Anything in my life, as Hoban welcomes her mom and she welcomes him. She asks, "You cooked? What's the occasion?" He replies, "I just knew you wanted to cook since it was your first day at your new job." She says, "You're the perfect husband for someone." And they joke around. As she hands out money to Hoban, he asks, "What is this?" She replies, "This is your allowance." He thanks her and apologizes for making her work so hard. Meanwhile, with his friends, Hoban says, "Mom didn't tell me she was streaming. If I call her out, she'll find out that I know about her live streams, and it will break her heart. I don't want her to get hurt. I'd rather shoulder it all and be done with it." As time passes, the stream starts again, and Pakugo asks a disturbing question to Hoban's mom. "Would you rather your son burn to death or drown to death?" She is disturbed and responds, "What kind of question is that?" Pakugo tells her to answer quickly, or she'll have to do a handstand to apologize to her viewers. As Jaeok searches for Hoban, he goes to Miss Park and asks for Hoban. They enter the room and find out he has gone to meet someone. Miss Park says Hoban told her his room is off limits. Jayok insists, come on, you know I have no manners. When he opens the door, he's shocked by the room's condition. It looks like someone has practiced a lot here, but Hoban has disappeared. In the next scene, Pakgo is seen sitting on the floor with a bucket full of Miss Park's live eels. He says, this is some hardcore preparation. As one of the eels slips out of his hands, a voice says, don't worry, your efforts won't go to waste because you're not alone. It looks like Hoban went to Pakgo's studio on his own. They didn't have to force him to go there. Pakgo says, did you come to call me out? I thought you couldn't. Hoban responds, it was never my plan. I'll eliminate you from Earth instead. Pakgo, who is almost twice Hoban's size, says, you've grown too cocky, but Hoban punches him in the face with great force. Pakgo says, you just got lucky that one time, and teases, your mom is a freak on camera. Hoban says, we're going to play. Would you rather? So choose an answer. Would you rather have your ass kicked until you die, or die with your back kicked? As Hoban punches Pakgo in the face again, he says, you're good at fighting. It doesn't matter if he's bigger and stronger than you. Amateur fighters cannot beat him, and you can just eliminate him. Pakgo responds, I was just unlucky that time, and adds that it tickles. He rushes towards Hoban to attack, but his lower bones are badly damaged. Hoban asks, what's wrong? You said it tickles, and laughs. Pakgo says he doesn't get it and calls it ridiculous. He wonders why it hurts every time he charges at Hoban, only to get hit in return. Each time, Pakgo can't do anything, and this time, Hoban kicks him in the chest, breaking several of his ribs on impact. But Hoban doesn't stop there. He picks Pakgo again, breaking his skull. Despite the severe injuries, Pakgo refuses to give up and charges at Hoban again. This time, more of his ribs get separated from his bones. He's in immense pain, and after a long beating, Pakgo begs Hoban to stop. Hoban replies, nope, we're going to play Would You Rather. He continues, would you rather have your teeth pulled out or have them smashed in? He's replicating what Pakgo did to Hoban's mother and says, you were so good at playing it the other day. Pakgo stops him and says, you're going to kill me, but Hoban won't stop. He then asks, would you rather eat this eel from the head or from the tail? The scene shifts to Hoban's mom returning from streaming. She spots Hoban sitting on a staircase and asks what he's doing there. He replies, I just wanted to check where you worked. Ignoring her questions, he says, I found something out that might surprise you. I think the place has gone under. Her mom asks what he means, and Hoban explains that the door was locked. She says it can't be and offers to call the manager. Hoban stops her with a smirk and says, there's no point. Let's go home. I'm hungry. His mom is shocked that he hasn't eaten yet. He says, I love you. I'll make some stew for you to eat, but adds, let's just go home. While heading home, Hoban's mom says she should call the boss to ask if the office is closed, as she had signed a contract with him, including pros and cons. Hoban is left speechless as his mother calls her boss a good person. Hoban then finds out that the boss is Soon Jeon Bark and exclaims, how dare you go after my family? I should have eliminated you first. Seong asks Hoban if something is wrong, and Hoban replies, what do you think about our new recruit? She was an instant hit with our viewers. Seong then says, is that the face I'm laughing about? It reminds me of your mom. Hoban lunges towards Seong, but he is pushed away by someone else. Seong warns, unless you want to be stuck in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, you should stop. Hoban twists his ankle and screams in agony. A wave of pure terror washes over him, and he says, I'll do as you say, just let go of me. This was Hoban's first encounter with jiu-jitsu, and Seong adds, you forgot to say please. I will teach you some manners. Hoban loses his will to fight as his anger fades away. He doesn't feel like fighting anymore, knowing he doesn't stand a chance. He realizes this as soon as Seong puts him in a hold and tests his ankle. When Seong grabs hold of someone, they can't do anything. Seong says, you lost your will to fight? You can't get scared like that. Was your first encounter that scary? I didn't expect you to be this shaken. We can't chat if you're this scared. He then shows Hoban the contract and says, "Are you looking for this? She is going to be the one to bring the company to new heights. I haven't been satisfied with the contract in a long time. She is my golden goose, having netted 15,000 viewers from her first live stream. I can't live without this contract. It allows me to have this outstanding streamer work for me for 5 years at just 3 million won per month." Seong asks, "Do you want me to tear up this contract?" Hoban responds, "Yes, please." Seong then says, "There is one way you can avoid this contract, but I don't know if you will do it because you are so greedy when it comes to money." "I think it will be a hard decision for you," Hoban says. "I will do anything you want," Seong replies. "All you have to do is hand over your company to me, and then I will tear up this contract." Hoban gets down on his knees as he is unable to do anything. He is banging his head against the wall, wondering if he can give away his company. A voice says, "What do you mean you don't know what to do?" Hoban replies, "We have to do what Seon Jun wants us to do for now. We have no other option as my mother is under contract and they may have advantages regardless." The girl asks, "Does that mean we are going to work for XJ Company?" She adds, "I don't want to work with that guy. That's not why I joined this." The environment is very confusing. No one even knows what to say. Hoban decides that he will quit YouTube. Everyone is surprised by what he just said. He explains, "If Seong wants you to quit YouTube, she won't come after you if I quit. Then, if you won't have to work for the company, and Hoban's company will be finished." As he thinks about how to beat up Pakgo, he concludes, "I have to quit being a streamer." Two office companions suggest, "What if you could turn the tables on them? Then you would be able to step up and fight like you always have." Meanwhile, in the residence of the motorcycle gang, one of the gang members says that his companion looks like he's in a bad mood today. He explains it's because of his girlfriend, even though he gives her money, including 1 million won recently, but she's not grateful at all. Suddenly he declares he's going to teach Myeosjeong a lesson. They ask if he still attacks people for money, but suddenly Tahoon appears in front of him. He slaps the gang member, asking if he was behind the attack on the high-ranking government official that was on the news. The gang member says he has no idea what Tahoon is talking about while thinking about how Tahoon found out about it and wondering if he has any proof. He gets scared and tries to redeem himself by saying he has changed. Tahoon says he must be mistaken, then because he is not attacking Tahoon or posing any threats. Tahoon learns that the gang member is living with his girlfriend now and asks him to hang out sometime. The gang member gets confused since they are not even friends. As the gang member tries to leave, Tahoon kicks him and says, "You're not going home today," hoping he stalled him long enough as Rumi treats Bomi's runny nose. The baseball bat attack is all over the news. You mess with someone from the Hyatt government, not some random person. Do you really think the police won't be able to catch you? Hyung-ji says that Chan was ordered to attack him by someone called Seong-jun. It is a recording device, but Hoban says, "We came to you because you should be the first to know, so it's up to you," he says. "What do you want?" "I'm going to report this to the police right away." His father says, "You cannot record this for the police." Yanu gets furious as to why he can't, and his father says, "You have to get rid of the recording before you go to the police." "It's not so simple when you're an adult," Hoban says. "I can fight back on your behalf," and adds that he will handle this. When Hoban approaches Seong, he asks, "Where is she?" He apologizes for interrupting their meal and asks if they're enjoying it. He says that Yanu's dad cannot even eat porridge right now. He thinks he can get away with acting like this. Seong asks who Yanu's dad is, and Hoban tells him he is the guy Seong hired someone to take down. He says, "You cannot joke like that with the police looking for the culprit." He says, "Let's talk about your mom's contract." Hoban comes closer to him and says, "Do you think I am joking?" He says it is a confession, not from the guy he hired to attack him, but his girlfriend. "You thought everyone's private life is squeaky clean like yours, didn't you?" Seong says only things about the contract, and Hoban, with the speaker, says, "Do you want me to get rid of the evidence?" Hoban's companion says, "You cannot report to the police. Why do you want to go over there? Are you going to try to blackmail with the evidence?" And that is exactly what he was doing. But Seong says that Hoban's mom's life will be ruined and asks him, "Will you be able to deal with that?" Hoban replies, "Your life will be miserable," and asks him, Can you deal with that? He shouts the name and says, let's make a bet. If she wins, you get the evidence. If I win, I get the contract. Let's settle our score. It will be a company versus. As Hoban reminisces about everything that has happened, the scene shifts to Jisoo Ju, who says, I just finished taking care of him. I got him at his house. I think a girl he knew was coming, so I ran away. I have beaten him up for life. Ha ha, Seong says. Good job. And adds, don't worry, the police won't be able to catch him. He'll spend his whole life looking over his shoulder because he attacked that high-ranking government official. Hoban is probably going to call you out and ask if he'll be okay. Seong replies, he can do whatever he wants, but you know as well as I do that he may be able to call out everyone else on YouTube, but he cannot do that to me. Meanwhile, in the company, Jiok asks everyone for their attention and explains everything, asking if they can find something to destroy them and their 2 million subscribers. He reveals that those two are brothers, and surprisingly, the bigger one is the younger brother. Everyone agrees to call them out for Jiok. He explains that they used to be losers like us, but they were bullied from middle school to high school without any reason, just like us. If I had to come up with a reason, I would say it was because of Jisoo's personality. As the two brothers walk down the school, the bigger brother says, don't you think it's unfair? We should try to change our fate. Jisoo replies, we will make them pay for it. Jisoo says, it's something I can do lying down, and that's how he started learning jujitsu. Rumi says, so you're saying that he became this skilled, and that's why he started? He became a purple belt in just 2 years? He's a prodigy. It usually takes 3 to 4 years to get the purple belt. But he got it in only 2 years. Of course he got his revenge, and that's how he became the hero of the school. He became famous. A bullied kid who defeated his bully by learning jujitsu went viral as soon as he became a YouTuber. And that's how he started his channel. This is why there's nothing we can call him out for. Hoban asks, why is someone like that working with Seong Jun? Jayuk says, that's not it. The real reason we cannot call him out is because they have been called out before and apologized for it. Everyone wonders what he was called out for, and Jayuk explains that he committed a crime. The thing that's even more surprising is that the incident was well documented online, yet he is still a popular streamer. That incident revived the fortunes of their rough and ready channels and made them popular again. Now they have 2 million subscribers. You want to know, don't you, Hoban? The Dave murder case led to a public outcry because the murdered student he was tutoring was killed in a really gruesome way. On the day of the murder, Dave was late to the scene of the crime so the police could continue their investigation. The area was crowded with people, and many YouTubers were covering it. But the viewers were not happy because their anger seemed fake. To them, this was just another day to attract more viewers. At that moment, another criminal appeared in front of him, and everything happened in an instant. It was the moment a garbage human being and a decent person in the eyes of the general public became indistinguishable. I'm sure you've seen it happen before. Many streamers commit crimes and do controversial things. When things blow up, they make an apology video and then stay out of the spotlight for a while. The reason they are able to start streaming again and retain their fans is because they are fun to watch. After they come back from their hiatus, they put on a giveaway to apologize and at the same time release content they created while they were away. So the YouTube channel ends up becoming popular again. That's the current state of YouTube. Hoban asks, but what happened to the victim? Is she still badly affected by the aftermath of that alone? He finds it very weird. Jayuk says that Jisoo is not smart enough to target Dave to make people forget about what he did. The scene then shifts towards Seong, where he thinks that the Rough and Ready channel and Hoban are going to fight, with the winner getting the rights to manage their opponent's channel. I think Hoban will find it hard to beat up a jiu-jitsu fighter. The scene then shifts to Samdok, where he says, defeating a jiu-jitsu fighter is simple. You just need to make sure they cannot grab your arms in the first place. Hoban says, don't worry, I just need 3 seconds, and I will show you how to defeat a jiu-jitsu fighter in 3 seconds. Jiu-jitsu is a martial art where you twist your opponent's joints and choke their carotid artery. And you can take anyone down with these techniques without exception. To fight an amateur with no experience or training, it is the hardest martial art to beat in a real fight, Hoban says. I know that because I have experienced it before. Samdak says you should not fight a grappler. If a grappler gets hold of you in a street fight where there are no referees, you might end up with a permanent injury. Samdak says, would you believe me if I told you there's a way to defeat a jiu-jitsu fighter in 3 seconds? The scene then shifts to the present where Hoban says, I have to believe him. I am certain that I am going to win. Jayuk asks, what's wrong with you? How are you going to beat him up in 3 seconds with your arms tied up? You cannot attack him with your arms tied up. What kind of secret weapon is that? There's no way this is going to work. The fighters in the ring laugh at him because of his completely ridiculous claim. Jitsu says, playtime is over. It's time to get serious now. You said you can beat me in 3 seconds? Try it then. Jitsu might be powerful, but an opponent cannot do anything as a grappler in this situation since they cannot use their hands. Usually they go for your legs. Here's how you defeat him in 3 seconds. The knee strike, the knee kick. As he is kicked by Hoban, everyone gets surprised. Jitsu says, it really did take 3 seconds. This is ridiculous. I almost lost to Taekwondo's most iconic move. Go for the nose, the back kick. This is the start of the fight. There is one pressure point, and that is the nose. Your body tenses up for a moment when you take a hit on the nose. If you practice enough and you can land a hit on the nasal cavity, you open up a world of pain. And now I am going for the leg. I bet you thought I was going for the nose. I think you will be able to do it now. He uses the knee hit combo and says, but keep this in mind. Even if you overpower your opponent, it's over if they get hold of you. That's what it's like to fight a jiu-jitsu fighter. Jayuk says that Hoban is an amazing fighter. Everyone there is shocked by his combo moves, which were great, and his ability to land hits like this. But he got scared that his opponent might get a hold of him. Jitsu says, you must be scared. That's why you did not hit me with enough force. Did you only bring the knee strike to the fight? Is that how you're thinking of countering the double leg tackle? The double leg tackle isn't the only takedown move in jiu-jitsu. There is also a move where you roll towards your opponent before grabbing their legs, the Emanari roll. Jayuk is shocked to witness that, and Jitsu gets hold of Hoban. Jitsu says it's over for you if you let him get hold of you. So you gave me a nosebleed, but what good is that going to do? It's game over for you as soon as I get a hold of you. He gets him with the toe hold, and everyone is surprised again. Jitsu says, I will buy you a wheelchair, but Hoban is taking it. While he goes back to training with Samdak, he says that it is impossible for an amateur to avoid getting grabbed by the fighter until the end of the fight. So I made you practice this. Even though it hurts a lot to take on a submission move, you will be able to endure the toe hold because you trained your legs and feet. You might be able to endure the submissions since you practiced ballet to the point you will be able to hold it for a while. But you are going to lose in the end. Samdak, while training, says it's just a temporary situation to endure the hold. But as you know, we have a different goal. It is the reason you let your opponent do a successful roll. It's the move you prepared for in jiu-jitsu. Everyone calls it wild. Suddenly, Hoban gets hold of Jitsu's toe. It's the double toe hold. The double toe hold, that's how you beat it. You need to use jiu-jitsu to beat a jiu-jitsu fighter, Hoban says. Jayuk comments, you never told me you learned jiu-jitsu, and you never told me who from. He probably picked it up on his own. What an idiot. Does he really think he can use self-taught techniques to win this fight? There's no way he can defeat a purple belt. Everyone thinks that he learned all of these techniques at home, and it looks like winning is really out of the question. Like Samdak said, you will lose immediately if you fight in a match. But remember, our goal here isn't to win matches. If your opponent is in a double hold, you can make them release you by anticipating the move and biting their foot. This is when the fighter will be at their most vulnerable. Show your foot high and kick downward. He must have picked this up from me. Jayuk gets excited again, but he just made it easier for himself to get trapped again. This position is my favorite, Jayuk says. If you let him get a hold of you again, there's no hope. Then he sees what Hoban is doing as Samdak told him. Cross your arms and you put your head down. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a martial art in which opponents get hold of each other, referred to as the best martial art to use in a fight. If you cross your arms and put your head down, there's nothing Jitsu can do. Jisoo says, "This guy is trying to free himself by driving his elbow into my thighs," and realizes that Hoban is not running away. In fact, he is coming closer to him, using every technique and every move, like headbutts and kicks, to defeat Jisoo. And after landing multiple hits on him, he has finally won. "Jiok, you deserve an A++ for how you handled him," he says. "I'm tired now. The Rough and Ready channel is ours." Hoban says, "Yes, we own it now," but he gets punched by a muscular man. It is none other than Jisoo's brother. There are people who sculpt their bodies in pursuit of perfection and build muscles until they become huge. They are known as bodybuilders, and many people want to know whether bodybuilders are any good at fighting. Those people don't know what they are talking about. They don't know that every move in a fight is powered by your muscles. Of course, bodybuilding is not a martial art, but they still have the most important advantage in a fight: their weight. Martial arts organizations divide people into weight classes and take care to match fighters within the same weight class for a reason. That's because even if someone knows a lot of techniques, they might still lose badly if they are facing an opponent who is bigger than them. As he picks Hoban up, he says, "I will beat them up." But someone else comes to help Hoban and says, "Let me take care of this guy." It is none other than Manny. Jisoo's brother says, "I am worried for you," but Manny replies, "I might not be good at arm wrestling, but things are different now because we are fighting on asphalt." As he punches Manny in the chin, Manny gets up again and charges towards him, but gets hit again. It's not like this strikes people either. I am not looking down, of course. Using these moves on asphalt sounds gruesome but useful if you cannot get a hold of your opponent. This is easier than arm wrestling. It does not matter whether you are wrestling or Roman wrestling. You are just bad. And Manny reminisces about his past. Then he suddenly starts to punch Jisoo's brother repeatedly with high speed. Jisoo's brother cannot hold it in anymore and says, "I was excited about finding an opponent using the same weight class." But as expected, you cannot stay in a fight for long because your muscles are just for show. The brothers are both lying on the ground, defeated. Jae-yuk and Hoban say, "We have won again. There isn't going to be another guy who is going to come along and fight us now. I can't take any more fights." Meanwhile, when Hoban was showering, he says, "We beat the guys from the Rough and Ready channel. We won the right to manage their channel. They didn't want to hand it over at first, but their subscribers kept on haunting them until they relented. I will be able to get my mom out of debt now. The only ones left to beat are Seong and that guy called 244. Bomi taps on the shower door, which scares Hoban. He says there is a bathroom on the girls' floor. "Why don't you want to use the one downstairs?" She says Gaol is using the one on the second floor. "Then go shower at home," he says, but she replies, "My water bill will go up." Then she says, "Want to shower together?" "What's the big deal? We are friends. You seem to care a lot about the water bill." She thinks it's okay because they are friends. "I didn't know we were this close," Hoban says. "Do you think I'm joking?" she asks. Hoban thinks, "I will be a fool if I say no." She then says, "Yes, I was just playing a prank for the camera. I successfully pranked my boss, which means I have completed my daily pranks for the day." She asks, "Did you want to shower with me that badly?" He replies, "It's not the dynasty anymore," and screams. Hoban then calls everyone to the first floor. Everyone asks, "Why did you call a meeting?" He says, "I feel like it's about time we make up our minds about what to do with the Rough and Ready channel." Jae-yuk says, "Give it to me. I will make it popular and then use it to promote our channel." Bomi asks him, "Why would you want it? How about giving it to me?" As they fight over the channel, the chat tells him to sell the channel. Hoban says, "I have made my decision. I am going to delete it. It would be great for me and for you to make a profit from the channel, but I have to think about the victims." The chat is impressed. Jae-yuk says, "I feel like I see another side of you, Hoban. I didn't think that you would actually delete it." Their subscribers were pretty impressed. It was trending online and everything. Hoban says, "I did the right thing. If you are going to try to look cool, you have to make sure that you style it out in the end." One of the girls says, "It has become bigger. They have called out Viral Hook as well as One Punch TV. And now they've called out the Rough and Ready channel too. How did it come to this?" He is the XJ Company member with around 2.8 million subscribers, and he says, "Everyone, including Seong-jun, is getting on my nerves today." As two men stand in front of Hoban, he says, "You're worse than me." One of them replies, "Now that you know, I will have to unalive you." Hoban ignores him, swearing furiously. As the man behind Jisoo attacks, Hoban dodges it and says, "I should have known you were blackmailing me," before slamming his attacker's head to the ground with great force. After some time, he defeats him with ease and calls for Seong-jun. Meanwhile, Rumi, in a bridal dress, is in a garden. They say, "I'm glad I sent that message." Let's take a break before we move on to the next video. He thanks everyone, but the waiter asks, "Where did the kid go? Why the heck is he taking so long to buy a coffee?" She responds, "It took me a while because there were a lot of people at the cafe." Then she grabs the waiter and all the coffee spills on him. The man, Moonsung, is shocked to see that happen. Meanwhile, in a mansion, Rumi says, "So you quit NewTube after that and started working at the studio?" She continues, "I'm here because I got a message from the studio. I heard they're well known for their videos," as she holds a camera in her hand. Moonsung says that he's the youngest and is treated like he got the job there because he wanted to take photos, but he still hasn't had the chance to take any photos of models yet. As they talk about what Hoban did to him, it would make less sense if he didn't have feelings for him. Hoban says he talked with Bomi on the phone for 15 minutes, and Jae-yuk says, "You have her right where you want her. You should ask her out." As the girls talk about their lives and how people approach them, the scene shifts to the man who defeated Jisoo's brother. As he dries his hair, he says it's unbelievable and disgusting. His appearance boils down to skin stretched over his bones, but people sometimes go wild for him, while other times they treat him like he's beneath them. He calls it interesting and says, "I never thought we would meet this way." He is the XJ Company member 244, who has 2.8 million subscribers. As he reaches a room, he says, "Excuse me for interrupting your meal," and the three men reply, "We were undressed because it's too hot here," as they talk about breeding animals. One of them says, "They are just animals in the end." Meanwhile, in the cafe, Bomi approaches Hoban. They talk about the weather and how long it has been since they last met. Bomi remarks that this cafe is really famous, even more than usual. As they exchange small talk, Jeon comes and tells Hoban that Bomi is playing with him. He tries to explain to Hoban that Bomi is playing with his feelings and talks about how love is very painful. On the other hand, Hoban asks Bomi why she talks like someone else, but she changes the subject. As Bomi and Hoban are having fun, the scene shifts to Moonsung and Rumi, where it is almost time for shooting. Hoban calls it youth as everyone is jogging around the road at night. Gino says, "We have scheduled the shooting with Yo Rumi," and continues, "We will continue as usual then," telling him to keep up the good work. The scene then shifts to 244, who is being chased by someone who furiously says to 244, "If you lay your hands on Yo Rumi, I will eliminate you from this world." He was really surprised. He didn't know it was possible to change your voice like that. He called it shocking. "I only recognized you by your out-of-breath voice and the shape of your ear." He asked, "Who are you?" And the other person responded, "And your tattoo is fake and your identity is fake. YouTube isn't your main job to begin with. I thought it was weird back at the company. Are you Seong-jun? Really just an employee and boss? What is your relationship with Wang-guk?" Jinho says, "You're crossing the line. Let's leave it at that, all right? You're still young. Wang-guk, just so you know, there are some adult circumstances around this." He's worried and continues, "Do you think I don't know the business you run? I received multiple reports about you when I was running my channel. But the moment I tried to contact the source, they suddenly disappeared along with the room. I know they won abroad, but I am warning you, I will eliminate you if you do anything to Yo Rumi." The person calls Jinho childish, but tells him, "If you rewind your life, what will Rumi think if she knew about this? I guess you're aware of this already, which is why you're trying to protect her from the shadows. Just give up. You only need to do your job. You've only recently come to the surface." The boy is sitting on the floor with a camera, and the girl asks what he's doing. He says, "It's not what it looks like," and tells her to give up. "Otherwise, your existence will be painful." So let's just give up. Don't you want to make some proper money? I haven't told this to anyone, but I've been considering bringing you in for a while. You've seen how filthy the world is. Just do as I tell you, and it will be 10 million per job. The scene shifts to Rumi, where everyone welcomes her. A voice asks, did we have a shooting day today? Go and hand her the costume. After looking at the costume, she asks if Rumi agreed to wear it. She is told that it won't be a hardcore film now. As they talk about the film, he says, you need to be careful. If you start talking about this, they will make you disappear, even if you are a part of it. You'll get used to it when you work for people like us. This is a great opportunity. When he comes back after giving her the costume, he is asked if he gave it to her. Everyone wonders what she said. He responds, I don't think this is right, and everyone calls him a thug. He says, you should not really hinder your boss. I am seriously worried about you, that's all. If you don't want to do your job, you can leave. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. I will just pretend like nothing happened. It has always been the same. The music has already started. I don't regret my actions. He hears it and says, it is a nice song, I guess, as he starts punching everyone who is standing in front of him. He says, you don't have to thank me. I'm not doing this for that. Dong Seok steps in front of him and says, nice to meet you, Junior. The scene shifts to someone who has just won his first trophy. He reflects, they think we win fairly regularly, but don't be surprised. All the trophies were won by one person. Do you know why they call you a freak and not a genius? It's because I've seen a genius already, and he's been released. I wonder what he's up to now. He was so talented that he probably joined a gang or something. He continues, remember this. Whenever you're up against a boxer, avoid anyone called Dong Seok. Dong asked Wang Guk how the coach is doing. Once in a century, a genius successfully defended his title 11 times. The strongest hard puncher, a conventional slugger. Some may say that a slow slugger is up against a quick-footed boxer, but Dong is different. While gifted with a powerful punch, despite his head, he has one more thing. An outboxer's speed. As he delivers a great amount of force in his punches, Dong asks if nobody has called him a genius before. I could go around the field 3 times just lining up the outboxers I've defeated, he says. You don't box with your feet. You do it with talent. The most important thing for a quick-footed fighter, and often forgotten, is the critical B point of the human body, the bridge of the foot. Dong asks, do you know why the gym coach called me a freak and not a genius? I learned boxing just to survive. Dong threatens him and asks why he did this, saying, you didn't have to. He replies, I told you, that's why you should just do your job. The scene then shifts to Bomi and Hoban in a cafe. Bomi says, I kind of understand why this place is so popular. It seems like a great place for talking, and there's also a TV. Is this why everyone keeps talking about this cafe? As they compliment the wall designs, they suddenly hear mysterious noises, more like suspicious noises. Hoban can't believe he brought Bomi to this kind of place and calls himself an idiot. He brings in snacks and asks, what's up with the mood? He says, this is no fun. I'll turn it around, but he trips and falls on top of Bomi. He says, I did not mean to. I swear on my YouTube channel. I know the floor is slippery, but why aren't you getting up? She replies, I'm not toying with you. He says, even when we were this close, you still cannot remember me from 3 years ago. Our first meeting was a mess. The scene then shifts to a school where Bomi is sitting with a bunch of books in her hand. She is called by someone, her friend, who asks if she rejected him and if he confessed to her again. She replies that he was too childish. If I had to say, a mature person would be someone who has grown up. It's quite embarrassing, she adds. She is talking to the university director, Hayan, who says, I don't get what the other kids are all talking about. They're so obsessed with dating and stuff. Her puberty is a bit awkward. How should I talk to her about this? She responds, I am not a kid anymore. Why do you keep treating me like a kid? Just because I'm young doesn't mean I am not grown up. I am going out and never seeing you again. Her father says the girl wanted to grow up and the boy who has already become an adult. It was our first meeting. The scene shifts back to the present. He asks her if she does not really remember it and says, "It pisses me off." He tells her to answer him. She replies, "But it's still the same. Those bastards. I even made them food since it's raining, but where are they?" Someone knocks on the door, and it's none other than Rumi. She says, "Wanguk will not come home." "You were the one who saw Wanguk last night. It was when I was doing a shoot at a studio. I thought it was some kind of event, but when I was done with the song, everyone was gone. Yeah, but it broke that day. I've been just holding on to it. I thought that since I knew where our office was, he would come back and pick it up later, but he didn't even show up at the studio for work. I asked them about him, but they said they had no idea either. This means that it must still be at the studio." Jayun says, "What kind of world do you think we live in? This isn't a movie. It's not worth talking about anymore. It would just be a waste of time." Hoban suggests filing a missing person report first. Do you know where people go when they go missing? Well, let me tell you something. Once upon a time, people were put into steel barrels and were unalived. The trendy thing these days is to go to a pet crematorium and turn the body into ashes. Isn't it fun? That's a little history of the art of disappearing right there. The scene shows a man tied up in a chair covered with blood. Someone asks him, 5 million won and you can kill a man. There are a lot of different places you can hire someone. Illegal immigrants that the police can't even catch due to lack of trails. Someone who knows where they are. Do you know where you can find them? He says, "That's where I come in, the deep, dark corners of the internet. That's where I find my customers. If you want someone gone, I find them the murderers for their job. There's a name for this. It's called the dark web. It's too late now. I thought you would be scared, but too bad. You should at least have screamed." He leaves the building and says, "Well, it's not a total waste. The place is serviceable." At the police station, the officer says, "Sorry, we cannot take the missing persons report." Everyone is shocked and asks, "What do you mean you can't take a missing person report? If you have any proof of him having enemies or having suicidal thoughts, we can take the report. But if you don't, then it's just a runaway case." Bomi says, "But if it's not a simple runaway case, we have to wait 24 hours? It's not something we can proceed with right now?" They argue with the police officer, and she shouts, "How about you have your kids just run away?" The police officer orders them to leave the station. Jayun says, "We have to wait for 24 hours. Rumi says, "If you can't find him, I'm going to die." Hoban replies, "But you need to get a grip. If you talk like that, what does it solve?" She says, "I'm going to go home." As they talk about someone who might help, a man approaches them and says, "Everyone's been waiting for me. Sorry about the sudden call. You said something serious happened to us," Hoban asks, "and?" The man continues, "It's all right. So Mr. Wang Guk has gone missing, the new member of the studio. You must be his younger sister. We haven't heard anything about him. And the police are telling us to just wait because it could be a simple runaway case. I wonder how I will be able to help. I want to be helpful in some way, but as it happens, I have one thing to tell you. Mr. Wang Guk has died in my hands." Everyone is shocked to hear his confession. Thank you guys for watching, and look out for part 2 coming out soon.